And we are all set up and ready to go. All right, so hello everyone, welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and then figure out what it is we are doing. Now, if I remember correctly, we had made a couple legendary big mining drills, and we have most of what we need except for, what's it called? We need more legendary iron plates still. So we need to expand this out a bit more, but more urgently than that, we need more tungsten. So we've got this tungsten mine over here, which is basically set up, except I'm noticing now that some of these buildings don't output properly. So we need to get that fixed. We can also fit one of you in. And then that belt has to connect up to there. And we need to do the same thing with this. Also, that tiny underground belt is just pointing backwards for some reason. So then that all goes forward to connect up, and should be good. Let's get those belts upgraded as well. So we need to get as much tungsten output as we possibly can, and so one step is that we are going to want to upgrade these to legendary productivity modules, which I don't know if we have enough of those, but hopefully we do. Let's see, so we go back to Novice and find our productivity module factory over here. Okay, we have 353 of them to spare, so that shouldn't be an issue, so we can just default to using legendary productivity modules for everything now. And this machine does 6.12 per second, whereas this one does 5.1, despite the fact that they have the same amount of resources. So the productivity is indeed useful. And that's going to add up to a good solid chunk just from this patch. And then we can also make the beacons into legendary beacons. Okay, and we're going to need to actually transport all of those productivity modules over as well. So let's set that to move 100 at a time instead of 50, because we're going to need them. And then we're also going to want to make all these legendary beacons, which I believe we haven't brought to Vulcanus yet. Yes, so we're going to need to bring legendary beacons up to Vulcanus as well, which we can... Those aren't in super short supply, I don't think, so we should just be able to attach those onto some random building. Or some random Vulcanus support can carry those, so congratulations, Vulcanus Support 1. You now bring over, yeah, probably 20 should be fine at a time. And that'll get this batch done, and then we just need to queue up to request those. So we can request probably like 40 of them at a time. And that should dramatically increase the total amount of tungsten output. Hopefully it does it enough. And transport platform has all those, so you can head back up to there. Okay, but now we also have this fast transport, which is almost built. It looks like It looks like the gun ammo is through. And yeah, it looks like everything that's important got built for this. So we can actually just switch to using this as our go-to, just ferrying things around manually ship. So we don't need to do a transport platform anymore, hopefully. It is quite slow. Okay, so once that happens, that's going to be a massive boost to the amount of output of this. So I don't know if it will actually last. Okay, also we can just... Apparently I just hadn't finished this off last time. We can squeeze a couple more of you in this way. Like that. And a couple more legendary beacons as well. And then at some point we can also upgrade these to legendary speed modules, which all that together will make these absolutely go burr. And we should then have plenty of everything that we need, because they do stack very nicely if you can get all those different sources of extra output to stack. So that belt goes up and is going to meet up with this, just like that for now. It's not super important. And then I could have sworn I'd put power poles into those bottom two as well, but apparently not. That's all that. Ever thought of making quality power poles? I do. I have made them. It's just like, I don't know. It's not like there's things that they don't really enable much extra abilities. Like, they're a little bit more convenient, but they're not that much more convenient. Like, I have used them. Actually, if we go over here, these guys are epic power poles, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference. It's easier to just sort of spam regular power poles around. Alright, so these are going. Oh, and these also need some of those. So that can all go in. And that's a little bit of extra output. And okay, it looks like the first wave of... No, it says we only need 13 legendary beacons now. It said 20 earlier, but transport platform... Oh, Vulcanist support did make it. Okay, so that's good. So then why was that only like 7 of them? Is there some problem with our legendary beacon production? Would not be surprised at all. No, it's fine. Let's just boost that up to store 60 at a time, just so that we can have them. And that should be fine. So, transport platform is 2/3 of the way here with the productivity modules, which should help out. And then, once that happens, we might need to worry about the output of this. Probably not, but it is possible that that could become an issue. So I guess we can start by just preemptively making that all turbo belts. And that should be fine. So Vulcanist support, you're here. No extra legendary speed beacons in sight. Transport platform is just about made it. And you have arrived and dropped down all of those guys. So that should be a start at least. And They're more just like random. There's just like so much random tier. There's so many random blue belts in here that I just don't know how they've managed to find their way into this. Just like one or two in random spots, which probably doesn't matter, but is a little bit inconvenient. Alright, so now the productivity modules are all available. So that's in. And we have plenty. We only have 2.1 million ore here, but with legendary big mining drills and legendary productivity modules and stuff, it should be fine. We shouldn't have major issues with that draining necessarily anywhere near as fast as it would normally. The real problem is the output. So we've got all this, and we need, first of all, to get that to be merged up as well. And then we probably need to work to make sure that like the outputs are all balanced and everything, which is gonna be a whole thing. And gosh, this place is just so far away from the hub that it takes a long time for drones to get down here. I guess I can bring the Spidertron over, although I'm not sure how many more building things I need to do now. I guess it'll just be nice to have it in the area just in case. And you carry most of the stuff that I would need, but not everything. Okay, so this is all built up. Now these ones up here, are there any of these which have like the full 4 legendary beacons? It doesn't look like it. They're kind of sporadically placed around. But it does look like this output here is being... It looks like it's taking up the full thing, so I'm hovering over there, and it's 32 everywhere, which should theoretically mean that the belt is always completely filled, which means that the problem is output and not necessarily input. So it's weird that this lane here is going way faster than the other lane, which I thought I'd corrected for that at some point. And yeah, I should have this in, but it's this left side here which is doing everything. Okay, so this... Right, so this corrects for evening out the output, but it doesn't even out the input, which I guess is fine. So now we just need to expand this out. So if we just copy you... Let's see, how do we want to do this actually? So I think we can do this sort of similar to the way I did the other one with the blue circuits. So we copy this, and we build up another row up here, which, just for the sake of keeping this temporarily functional, we'll build it slightly offset, which shouldn't make a meaningful difference. Now that's all going to get built up, and we don't have recyclers, but we do have the transport platform, which has recyclers, so we can drop those down. And let's just drop down another 150 quality modules, because we're probably going to need some amount of those. And we also need to power line this whole thing. So we do something like that. And that's all powered up. And the recyclers are coming in. There we go. And there go the quality modules. So nice to just see that work and not have to wait a month to do quality modules. Alright, so now we set this one up, and we are going to have to dismantle this whole area, which is fine. It's not that much to dismantle anyways. There's a decent amount of tungsten ore in that chest, but hopefully we can just leave that chest there, actually. So what we need to do is we have this belt go along here and then into a second splitter, and then that will be the legendary filter. So we have legendary that way, everything else this way. And then, instead of this being filter legendary, this will be filter... I guess it'll be filter normal the other way around? Okay, wait, so we need to go... Gosh dang it, this is gonna throw stuff in the belt wrong, so let's just remove a belt there temporarily so that we don't have a whole bunch of stuff going in the wrong side. So now, that just filters the common stuff back down that way, and all of the uncommon stuff up this way. So now down here we have this row which only does common stuff, and then we have this row up here which only does higher than common stuff. And does this even work? Does this even work? Also, I should have the Spidertron nearby for building speed. Okay, apparently it works. So we're able to keep that. And now this whole row of recyclers only recycles regular old common tungsten. And this whole row of recyclers does all the special stuff, which is a lot less, so we don't need as much there. But this is still actually... We're still not taking in the full input belt, which means we can optimize this further, because we don't want this to be buffering at all. Okay, so actually what we do is we cut this off again, and this is just going to be the first line, and then you just send all of your output up to this second line regardless. And so that should mean this row is free to take the entirety of the fresh input, while this row should be able to handle all of the stuff that's been recycled. And then we just have to have that output its legendary stuff into a passive provider chest. And we still aren't getting perfect. Now, these guys are all outputting. We're still not taking the full input belt, and we're also clearly jamming the output belt. Okay, so we might need to just fully do it the same way as the processing unit things, where we have a different stage unique to each tier, so that we don't have to do this looping things back. We have enough quality modules that we can just brute force it like that, and also the numbers past the first line are going to be very small, so it won't really be a meaningful issue. So this stuff is getting out to like here-ish. So let's give it some extra room, cut it off like there. We don't even need to do like rebuilding stuff. We just take this belt here, disconnect it, and you... Alright, this is getting a little bit silly, but it's fine. So this goes back around down to here, where it goes into that row of machines, which then output back into here, I guess. Alright, this is extremely cursed, but it's fine. Also, the Spidertron is not actually close enough to be helpful here. Okay, that doesn't work because that just connects up to these guys anyways, so we need you to be like that. So now this should be fine, except that this is all going onto one side of the belt, and it's the same side of the belt that this stuff is going onto, so it's all being very inefficient in that way. Although it seems like it might be under control now. Yeah, it just had a backlog to start with that's slowly running low on. Okay, but then we need... This is so convoluted and dumb. I should not have designed it like this, but it's fine. So we need a way of getting the legendaries out of this area. So let's actually just... Yeah, that whole area is convoluted and not good. So let's just take that out. Instead, we can have a setup like this, which... Actually, if we just build that in here, what does that do? So this splitter here is redundant because it's directly after this one. There's also just a bunch of random belt junk lying about. Okay, so now, if this one loops back on itself, surely now we have enough room on the belts for it to be fine. And actually we should... Okay, no, it looks fine. Looks fine for now. And this first row is taking the full tungsten input now. And that actually looks like it's not 100% saturated belts, so we can improve that as well. But we're taking the full tungsten input, and it's all getting crunched down relatively efficiently. And the only downside is that it's getting put into 3 separate blobs, which is not really what I would want normally, but it's fine. We can actually fix that by just bringing all of these together. So we are going to wind up dismantling that giant box. And also that random power pole. And apparently that power pole was important, so we can put another one in to cover for it. And then that belt goes up there. And the Spidertron is completely overstuffed with random junk. So we need to tell it not to hold on to tungsten. So you don't hold on to tungsten. You also don't hold on to tier 2 tungsten or tier 3 tungsten or legendary tungsten is the biggest chunk of it, obviously. Kind of skip epic tungsten for now because we've got one of it. Alright, so that is now back to functioning properly. And that's all good. So now we have that belt going up, and we need to do the same thing again. So take you out, and then this box needs to go underground and merge up to there. We have this random unnecessary splitter there. which we can get rid of. And then we have this box up here, which can also just connect across to that. And that should be a nice centralized place for all of our tungsten once we have it. And we don't want to have the power pole directly in front of the inserter just because it looks a bit bad, but it's fine. So now this is running at full speed. And now the question is, can we get more onto this? So we are going to need to, first of all, upgrade any random tier 2 belts that were in there. And then we're going to have to sort of run down and upgrade all of these belts, which, if only there were a bulk upgrade version. And we got some random belts in the Crossfire. But so these just go all the way down here. And I don't even know how many turbo belts we have stored. But this might take a while to build, and we might need to craft up more turbo belts. But that's fine. Okay, yeah, our poor drones are not happy about this. But that is all we need to click and drag. So that whole thing should get upgraded eventually. And we should have more than enough transport belts. How many drones? Yeah, we have 416 construction drones on Vulcanus for some reason. Does transport platform carry those? Yes, it does, actually. So we can just drop down another couple hundred of those, which seems like it's a bit too late for that to help now, but it should be beneficial just in the long run. Alright, so that, now we just have to wait for all that to get all the way through. And Vulcanus support, you're the guy who carries the legendary beacons, so we're waiting on you to show back up. So that's all fine. We just need all these random sporadic drones to show up to make this belt faster. And then we're going to need some way of knowing whether it's full or not, which currently it seems like back here it isn't completely filled, but it sort of catches up just because of the lower speed of the other belt. So we're going to need to figure out how to fix that, if there's any way we can squeeze a little bit more speed out of all this. Like we can put a couple extra legendary beacons in some spots where they're currently missing. We have foundation now as well, so that should be doable. And we can just get all of those in. And we are apparently missing one foundation. Does transport platform have foundation? Not with it currently, so you can go back to novice to hopefully just pick some of that up. And then we're going to need all those legendary beacons soon. And we're also going to need legendary speed modules, hopefully. Hopefully we should be able to get those pretty simply. We just have to bring in the circuits from Fulgora, make the uncommon speed modules, and then combine them up. Alright, so now this seems to be... If we go all the way up to here, yeah, we can see there are gaps on the belt going in. So it is running at full speed, and full speed isn't quite good enough. So We've produced 30 legendary tungsten ore in the past little bit, which is something, I guess. It's better than nothing. But we're going to need a whole lot more big mining drills. And speed modules are tungsten carbide plus normal module stuff, so we're going to need legendary for that as well. And hopefully that will be okay. So, is there anything else we can do? Like any more random spots? I guess we can fit in a couple just like there, technically within the resource patch, just barely. And then they're gonna need foundation. They're gonna need some more foundation, and they're gonna need some more modules. And all of the output of all these machines is getting out. None of these are sitting idle because belts are stuck. So that is all good. And we just need to get more out of it. So this is up to 37, which isn't ideal, but could be a lot worse. It's not ideal, but it could be a whole lot worse in terms of our tungsten production. It's no Fulgora blue circuit production, unless this is jammed, which it has not. Very nice. So that's all going well. And it seems like we're loading up that plastic as well. So yeah, Fulgora is going fine. We just need all the tungsten carbide. Mostly tungsten carbide. I think we need tungsten plates for something, but I couldn't tell you what. Is it like just science? Let's see here. Metallurgic science is tungsten plates, and I think like artillery stuff is tungsten plate, but other than that, it's mostly tungsten carbide, I think. So that's fine. So we just need to get that in, and it's, I believe it's in an assembly machine. I'm going to check to see if we can foundry it. Just, okay, so we can make tungsten plates in the foundry, but not tungsten carbide. Yep, alright, so that goes away. Can't get the productivity bonus for that. Alright, so we get a machine there. You get... No, you don't craft legendary productivity modules. I got confused about what menu I was in. You craft legendary tungsten carbide, but you have legendary productivity modules in you. Okay, so then we bring that sulfuric acid belt up so that that's connected, and I believe we're just requester chest carbon in, right? So you get legendary carbon, and we have some of that, but not a lot. And then we just put that in, and that is just about all we need to do for you. And I guess we can give you just like a regular speed beacon. This doesn't need to be legendary because it's not urgent, but just make you not go minus 60% crafting speed. So now you're going to be going about as fast as we can produce stuff. So that's back up and running, which means that this is the limiting factor once more. So we need more tungsten input, and there's not much we can do. Did you not? make the delivery, or are you still on your way? I think you're still on your way. We need to make sure that this is set. Alright, it is set to receive legendary beacons. Very good. And we probably want you to receive way more legendary carbon. I don't even know where that's coming from. Is that coming from Gleba somehow? Yes, it is. And we definitely want to be carrying a lot more of it. So we can do that. That's all well and good. And hopefully that should help with the tungsten carbide production, which is still not going super fast. We need so much tungsten ore in order to get this done at a reasonable rate. Like, we need at least probably 2 or 3 full belts of it. And currently we can't even get one. Alright, so we're gonna have to find other patches, I guess. Which means we're gonna have to fight some demolishers. So, let's see. We're going to want railguns here, probably. Because those will just make everything a lot easier. So, fast transport, you are fully set up and functional, right? Except for the missing railguns. So why are you not getting railguns in? Because Aquilo Support 2 it has 10 railguns loaded. Does Novice have a railgun request? I thought that I had set that up. Ah, I see. I did not. That'll certainly do it. So you can request 10 railguns, and that should be fine. So now, this is fully set up except for the railguns, so it'll probably be faster for you to head out to Aquilo and grab the railguns yourself. And we had serious problems getting things launched from Aquilo. And that was this guy's job to fix, right? So you need to drop down a whole bunch of concrete. And apparently we need requester chests too, although that's probably just a matter of me running the Spidertron over here to get all those guys built. Okay, so yeah, that's fine, and now we just need to get these guys done. And you can also drop off some extra heat pipes and some engines and steel. And that should be fine. We actually need to make sure you don't stick around here, because you can't actually get power on Aquilo, so you can head back. So fast transport is on its way. It doesn't have enough rocket ammo, actually, so it might have issues with that. Yeah, we might have problems with the rocket ammo. Also, this is... I could have sworn I'd fixed this already. I could have sworn I had done this. Oh, I must have just done it on this one. So we need to do that. And then also get you. And get that all pasted across. And now we just have to hope that the rocket supply goes fast enough to keep up. Just like without any stockpiles at all, which is a serious risk, but it looks fine-ish right now. So it's going to be like this corner over here, which is going to have trouble getting rockets over to it, because these guys get first dibs on them. But hopefully it'll be fine. If not, then this space platform will just explode, I guess. And yeah, all sorts of turrets on here are currently out of ammo. And you are crafting up as fast as you can. Oh, had we made these guys legendaries on this? Yeah. So we're going to want to bring you back to Novice at some point to get that fixed up. But it does... It looks like the rocket supply is mostly fine right now. It could be better, but it's not completely catastrophic. I have nice periods where nothing has to shoot at all. And that is going out. And yeah, all these guys are having their ammo problems, but it is getting through to them for the most part. So we should be fine. Like, this one has the range to cover the entire corner, and it has ammo. Alright, so yeah, you should be fine. You're just gonna head up to Aquilo, grab some railgun turrets, and then that should theoretically help us very easily defeat the Demolishers. Alright, so now transport platform has foundations again, so it can head back up to Vulcanus. And then we check back to here. We still haven't taken any damage, and all but this last rocket turret on the front row are filled, so it should be totally fine now. Yep, looks pretty good. Now we can start getting some railguns launched at the speed of Aquilo construction, which apparently it did manage to get those extra launch pads set up, so that's convenient. Although, did we not give them productivity modules? There we go. Now they have productivity modules, and they also have a drone port. Which, wait, is that actually going to work? Yes, there's a heat pipe down there that I can use. So we just do that. And that is all good. So now we can just sit here for a little bit, let the ammunition situation get a little bit less spooky, and actually, okay, so this one here is fully set up and functional, right? There were still some problems with, like, the super long trips to the edge of the solar system and the shattered planet, but it works just fine just for making it to, like, anywhere within, right? So let's copy you, and then Control Shift and space, and get all that new stuff built up. So a lot of that isn't going to be possible to change yet, but it should be more optimal now. And that is all good. And, oh right, that will have also told you to go to a random planet on this list. So you need to go back to Aquilo and take all those out for now. So you can now just hover over Aquilo, get some random construction work done. We probably are... We're going to need to get back to Novice pretty soon for all that stuff. And so that can go away. So this is going to have its own custom group, which for now, it just wants to bring up a couple of railguns extra from what it needs to build itself. So we can run those back to Vulcanus, and then we can use them to delete some demolishers. Okay, so let's use some of these extra modules that we've got. So if we just copy paste that, flip it horizontally, and then combine it in to that pipe, then we can build all of that and approximately a little bit less than double our legendary iron production here on Vulcanus, which should be quite helpful to have. And we'll have to see if we have the modules for it, but if not, we can just get them delivered, because those modules are no longer a major issue. Also, this is a hilariously wasteful use of drone ports, but it's fine. Alright, so we're going to need... Yeah, we're definitely going to need more modules, and apparently more recyclers. Transport platform is almost here, though, so that should be fine. And here it is. So those get dropped off, the recyclers get dropped off, the foundations get dropped off. And that should hopefully do for most of this, at least. And okay, the power should be connected up once it's all built. And it's just a matter of the last finishing touches going in. And then that should be a very, very large amount of stuff. I've somehow managed to make this not perfectly aligned, which is mildly annoying, but whatever. So that is built. Tungsten carbide, we've made 104, which is much better than it was a moment ago. It looks like with the plus 100% productivity, it's like 1-to-1 in terms of tungsten ore to tungsten carbide, which is kind of crazy that it's that bad, honestly. I guess it's 2-to-1 normally. Alright, somehow this seems like there's less gaps on this incoming belt than there were. I guess those... Yeah, so these guys are in, which has caused this to all go a lot faster. And we can even get a random power pole so that that one can get powered up. So this has 4 legendary beacons. It's 9.72, which is now the normal. I think we were at like 4 or 5 prior to getting this set up. Okay, now all of these guys need power poles so that they can go in and get us an additional row of mining. Though some of them don't exactly have many resources, so they, even with the legendary mining drills, these might drain pretty quickly because there's just not that much under them, but we will see what happens with that. And then we need to scrutinize this. All of the outputs from all of these are still getting out. Okay, we are now starting to see backlogs, though. Is that going to be continual? Yes. It looks like this line here is now backlogged a bunch. Okay, so that is good because it means that we have enough tungsten carbide to achieve that. It's bad because now we need to worry about how we're going to get this excess out reasonably well. And are these outputting full stacks? I'm pretty sure they are. They look like full stacks to me. So that's good. That's about as much as this can handle. Now, realistically, we're going to want to... The reason I had this built up here is because we were pulling from this tungsten patch, which has since been completely cleared out. So there's... Really, it would be a lot easier to just move this further down to here. So we don't have to do these insanely long belts. Also, we probably want to add additional tungsten patches, and we probably are going to need to do something for that. I guess each tungsten patch could have its own quality setup, and then we can just drone the results out. That makes sense, I think, because we're not going to have to be transporting that much tungsten. So that seems like it should be the easiest way of going about things. So we can just have, you know, like this tungsten patch just has a quality setup there, and we just carry the small handful of legendary tungsten that produces up to here for carbidification or whatever. Okay, so now apparently we were like right on the edge of what we can do with this, because these are now backlogged, which means we need to just extend this lane out a bit. And I don't know, it's not exactly rocket science, just something like that. And that looks to be enough to keep up there. And we're still fully outputting even all the way up here. So that should be fine. Although now this is backlogging again even more. All these guys are fully outputting. Oh, but this one isn't because we're doing this whole splitting thing. Okay, so how do we fix that? We need to make sure that we output full lines of tungsten carbide, or of recycled tungsten, so that we get the most efficiency out of it. Which is going to mean... Let me think here. It's going to mean we have this row. So this is producing a full line, but this one isn't, right? And it's like 1 to 4. So theoretically, we might... If we set it up to do full stacks, then it would probably be fine to fit on a single belt. But if we don't do that, it might not be. Okay, so if we're gonna have individual setups at each tungsten patch, then we actually want this to be relatively optimized, right? So with that in mind, let's actually do some math here. So this is 12.8 in per second, which is 3 stacks per second, right? Because a stack is 4. So if we do 3 stacks per second times 20 of these, that would be a full Mark 6 belt. So it should be like a row of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I just moved my camera and lost where I was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these 10 are one row. And let's get those connected up. And then these ones are the other. And we're going to want there to be 10 of those as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so theoretically, this... Let me just put a random belt there to mark it. Theoretically, I'm not sure how these ones are even getting items. Aside from these ones being fully saturated, I guess. But they shouldn't be. I'm going to need to get that power pole back in to fix when I broke it earlier. So let's check it again. Are these not... Are some of these not getting enough input? No, they're definitely all getting enough input. Alright, I don't know what's wrong with my math here. It should be... Oh, maybe we need to do... Maybe we need to do stack inserters or something? This is 12. This is 12 times 20 is 240. And this belt is 60 in stacks of 4, which is 240. So, especially with the fact that these are 12.8 and not 12, there really shouldn't be any items getting down past here. So, why are there items getting past there? We don't have any random stuff with that. You are working... Okay, you're not working at full speed. You are output full. You are output full. So, the reason they're not working at full speed has got to be because of the fact that these aren't being stacked properly. So, we need to fix that. If we can get that fixed, then it'll work. It actually might just be because of the different rarities make it harder to stack, but we can fix that just by doing... What do we do over here on Fulgora? We had this whole setup here, which is overcomplicated because we had to do it for 2 different items. But theoretically should be fine. Okay, so we're going to copy paste this. And how many recyclers? We needed like 10 recyclers. Oh, we're going to need fewer if... Yeah, so we're going to need fewer if they're going to be legendary recyclers, but I don't think there's any special need for them to be legendary recyclers. So we have this, and let's just pop that down, and then we replace the legendary recyclers for regular ones. Like so. And then we take this whole output belt and we make you just a regular old belt because there's only one thing that these can output in various rarities, so we don't need to sort them or anything. And this will only output full stacks, so it should be just fine. So, we take that, we make sure to keep an input belt, and might as well have the power poles in to begin with. So then we copy this, and you then just need to overwrite all of that. And there we go. So that should hopefully all be successfully built. And then that just needs to connect in. And then we take all of that stuff out. And we can paste in another one of these, which will just go there. And then you loop up that way, and it should be fully optimal now. So now we are only outputting full boxes, and are all these with just the one bulk inserter? Yeah, the bulk inserter, I just need to remember this. It can do like 30-ish items per second with its rotation speed. And we only need it to do 12, so we're more than fine. And yeah, we see that this last machine here is just getting scraps, basically. Okay, so we can do that, and then we can dismantle all of that, make sure not to accidentally dismantle the Spidertron. So that all goes out, and this is fully functional. And then these guys go, and they don't need nearly as much attention because they're just doing their thing on a very, very unfilled belt, so they don't need to worry about it. Don't need to worry about belt speed limitations in any potential capacity. They're just fine. And then we have these ones up here, which we really don't need to worry about. Let's actually think then about how many recyclers we actually need in this row. So this is 3.2 per machine times 20 machines, which is 64. So if these are 12 each, which we're going to continue doing that rounding just so we have a bit of a cushion. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72. So in theory, we can clear out those two and still be fine. So this can handle 72, and it should be given 64 on average. And then we just have this, which is going to get almost nothing, right? So this is 3.2 times 6, so that's 6.4, 9.6, 19.2 or something. So we realistically only need like 2 or 3 up here. And then that'll take 24. Yeah, so let's do 3 there just for safety. And it does seem like some occasionally slips through, but that's just because of belt speed things and not actually that it doesn't have the capacity for it, right? Okay, so then let's just get rid of all these random excess belts that we don't need. And so that takes a full belt lane. So now the question is just how do we make this more space efficient, and do we need to make it more space efficient? Is that something I'm super worried about? Okay, we've also determined that we don't need 2 bulk inserters for these, so that can all happen. Ooh, that's not symmetrical at all. Okay, so we just... Okay, we want the right side to have the bulk inserters. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but now that all the bulk inserters there are on the same side, which is different from the one down there, but oh well. And then we can do the same thing for those guys. Just take all their extra bulk inserters out. And these guys are actually kind of struggling a little bit. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why, because it must be because this isn't able to collect large stacks of items as much. Because, yeah, because these ones are outputted in stacks, so it's fine. But these ones aren't, so it's just like 1 rare, 2 commons, that sort of thing. So with that in mind, I think we just get an extra 1 machine back in, and that should handle it. So just a little bit extra cushion there. And then we want to just optimize the spacing of this, so it would be real cool if this just fits into here. Yeah, so let's do that. So your output is going to go, let's see. Actually, how do we do this? So this row up here goes down to here. We either have to have this belt loop around and back in, or we need to do something else. Let's just get it in there first. So we have you guys. I think we actually flip you vertically so that your input can just be like directly from here. So we're going to leave a little bit of space, and then that goes back that way, and it gets powered. And then this needs to loop back into itself as we were doing previously. And there you are. Output priority. No, not output priority. Input priority left. Output priority to be whatever. Alright, so that now does all of the cycling. And now we just need to get the rare outputs going. So we have... Do we have enough space in here? I think we might need to move this over by like 1. So if we have you in there, you can output the rares to the right. Filter legendary. So the legendaries go up this way. But then we don't have room to get these ones, that row's legendaries out. So let's shift you over. Just, will 1 work? No, I think we need 2. So you go in like that. And then you get an additional splitter in there, which just combines across. And then that can all go up there. And it needs to meet up with this belt, so like all of this stuff up here is junk again. The joy of redesigning things. It's a whole lot of dismantling and reconstructing, trying to get things to line up perfectly. But I think we're almost at a point where I'm happy with it. Like, this is just about as dense as it can reasonably be. And then we have our legendary belts. That's from earlier when we didn't have the filter in. So those two merge up like that. And then this belt comes along and merges up like this. And that's all fine. And now that comes out. Okay, so last little tweaks. That power pole doesn't need to exist, which means that this can be just a regular belt. And then that outputs into a passive provider chest. And everything filters the legendaries out first, right? So yeah, all the legendaries go out before they can get recycled. So this should be fully functional. And then we just need to have this, which is now going to be taking from a requester chest, which can request in the legendary tungsten ore, and that should enable it to grab from various copies of this that I place around the planet. Okay, so fast transport, you're still here. You are still trying to get your railguns and not being very successful at it. You're also still trying to get the rockets fully saturated. Alright, so over to Aquilo. What is up with railgun production? Where is that? You are up here. You're missing quantum processors. You have a reasonable amount of the other items. So you are carrying no quantum processors? Where? You're the guy who's supposed to be crafting them, right? What is your problem? You don't have any processing units, but you're about to land at Fulgora, so that should be resolved. And then hopefully we can craft up more quantum processors on the way to Aquilo. So let's see what happens, actually. Processing units on the way, 1200. And is there anything else that's missing here? We've got what looks like enough of everything else. Although the fluoroketone hot supply isn't looking spectacular, but that's just because we haven't been unbarreling stuff when we don't need to. So yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. And oh, the actual main production is these guys over here. They are missing blue circuits. So we've landed 1,000 some, and okay. Those are... oh, I see. We're waiting for extra superconductors to get launched. So these guys are successfully going. We've got plenty of fluoroketone cold. We've got plenty of space for that to output. We've got all these other things, so we should be able to produce... yeah, so this is functional, it's just not 100% fast. It's not quick enough necessarily, but it is working. This is also working, and we apparently have a bunch of legendary tungsten ore from over there that we had access to. So now we somehow have 200 and some legendary tungsten carbide. So that's cool. That's going to get us a whole bunch of these. And alright, we have enough electric mining drills. We're making a whole bunch of these guys, basically. And they're not being produced very fast, which I actually think is good, because speaking of speed, we want to try to throw together some of these. So we're going to just build this over here by the legendary tungsten carbide. And you are going to be your requester chest in power plant. Alright, requester chest. Do we have all of these guys for us? Okay, we don't have legendary processing units. And that's fine because we actually also need to make all the speed modules going up to that, so you get those, and I guess there's no need to drone port those in since they're only to be used in this one spot. Okay, so let's actually take that out, because I just remembered that EN plants do have a productivity bonus built in. And actually what we will do is we can take this setup for productivity modules and literally just copy paste it, and we're gonna have to clear out some random junk that we had for dealing with the biter eggs. So we don't need all of this nonsense. Oh, that inserter there was important though. Okay, so what are you missing? You're missing these silly fancy belts which make everything marginally more difficult. Okay, and then the power lines need to get connected across. Just fill in all these tiny little gaps. And then we need a drone port out here because we're in a dead zone. And alright, so you are bringing in legendary green circuits. You are bringing in legendary red circuits. You would be bringing in legendary blue circuits if we had any, but we can just craft those up. And now, real quick, we need to swap these over to speed instead of productivity. So you are speed 2 and you are speed 3. Okay, so what is going on with this? Why are there green? Oh, there are green circuits on that belt when we changed the recipe. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. So that is all in, and I don't know what those were from when I was switching this over from producing epic modules to producing legendary modules. We definitely don't need them. We also don't need that. Okay, so this needs to be set to request legendary tungsten carbide, which we seem to have used up all that massive buffer we had, which is unsurprising. That would go very quickly. Okay, now we have these. We just need the legendary blue circuits, which we're importing all the rest of this stuff, right? So we don't need these efficiency beacons. Because who cares about efficiency? We want speed. We don't need that much speed. We just need a little bit. So the first row, that's all good. These enable disable conditions are completely bricked, so let's just remove all of that. These guys don't need to be circuit network. That was for when we had an extremely limited amount of inputs and we needed to make every red circuit count. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so legendary blue circuits. How many green and red circuits do we have here? Thousands? Alright, let's just produce a couple of those on site rather than adding like an additional line of inputs. So, where do we actually want this to get done? We want it to be somewhere with space. How about just like up here maybe? I don't know. So we want the classic alternating machine beacon machine setup. And then you get those. The machines can have legendary modules this time, and you make blue circuits. Oh, not blue circuits, you make legendary blue circuits. That is important. Oh, we need... I forgot that we needed sulfuric acid for this. Is there just conveniently a belt there? Yes, we're going to have to actually just put this somewhere where we have sulfuric acid to work with, which conveniently is most places over here. So you can just go in this area, generally speaking, somewhere like that. And you will pull off that belt. Right, I clicked the power pole button, but I think there was like an autosave or something at that exact instant, so it got lost. Okay, and then we get our inputs, which go across here, and you are legendary green circuits, legendary red circuits, and then you get your inserters and your inserters. Then all of this gets powered up, and that should... Got to build in an output belt, so the sulfuric acid is going to have to go away. And we have output belt there. Then you rotate a little bit so that this works. Then we need to move that power pole. I guess we're going to need like a couple power poles to do its job, which now we don't need that one either. So now we can have this underground belt, underground pipe sneak across that way and feed the sulfuric acid across and get attached up. Okay, so now we just need output to there and there, and then you can create a small stockpile of legendary blue circuits here. And this is going to use a whole lot of legendary green circuits. It's going to burn through them like crazy. Fortunately, that's what this guy is for. So, you have 2,000 green circuits set as your request. Let's make that like 10,000. Just launch as many green circuits as you possibly can. It's going to take a bunch of rocket launches, but that's fine. Not like we have any meaningful shortage of legendary green circuits. So that is that. Now back over on Vulcanus, this is just going. And we now have our first production of legendary speed modules. So that's neat. So now we've got those, and it's all going along. So how many of these are we going to be able to make? We don't have much tungsten carbide supplies. And this is still going along as it does. We'll have to see what happens to our... I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Alright, we're going to have to see what happens to our speed on our tungsten carbide mining when we get the legendary modules in, and that's going to be the first place they go. That's going to be the first place they go, is making more tungsten carbide. Now we seem to be, like, almost keeping up here. I imagine green circuits are about to disappear, and that's going to be a problem, and obviously the tungsten carbide is not exactly in abundant supply, so that's going to be a problem, but hopefully we can just get a good chunk out of these, and we'll be able to see what happens to our speed when we go there. So that is speed plus 125%, whereas regular is plus 70%. So it's a pretty big difference. Now, once we get 16, actually, we don't even need that many to test this, right? So we can go down here, and it's 2 modules per beacon. So if we just take one of these guys in the middle and give you all legendary speed modules, which should be on their way. And this guy is currently 9.72. And once these beacons go in, he should be hilariously fast. Probably twice as fast. Oh, probably more than twice as fast. 23.2 out of 1 mining drill. Holy cow, that's great. Alright. So, that will obviously, because that's speed bonuses and not productivity bonuses, yada yada, it'll drain the patch a little faster. We're at 8% resource drain, it should be fine. And now what we need to worry about is, first of all, how on earth are you supposed to tell the difference between things that have legendary speed modules in them and beacons which don't? But then we just want to get as many of those in as possible, and that will provide huge amounts of tungsten for us out of not very many patches. And which wound up being the limiting factor first? Green circuits is empty now, and Fulgora to Vulcanus is on its way, it looks like, with how much? 10,000 green circuits on their way. Yep, that sure is something. Okay, so we need to get this also set up to be 10,000. And the red circuit supply is probably gonna be fine, right? So the blue circuit production uses 10 times as many green circuits as red circuits. But this production only uses like a little bit more, like that's like 1.4. It's like twice-ish as much. So theoretically, red circuits shouldn't be the limiting factor. And we just need to... We're going to need to redesign all of this mining now that our machines are insanely fast, because, like, each one of these individually is filling a massive chunk of a belt now. And this is where you get the fun of distribution efficiency beacons with legendary modules. It just... once we put these onto a machine which also has a legendary version with speed increase instead of resource drain increase, the production rate is going to be completely bonkers. So that should be pretty cool. That should be pretty cool to see. For now, we just need to get this tungsten carbide, though. So this here does one belt, right? So if we have more than one belt, we just need to place a bunch of these next to each other. And we're not going to be able to figure out how many belts this is until it's actually been fully upgraded, which means let's just get all of these. Let's get all of these set to upgrade so that we can just know exactly when we'll be done. And we're just going to go through row by row. We got a lot of the more central ones that see 4 machines already because those are more efficient in terms of usage of the beacon. But if we do that, and then we can actually squeeze an extra, let's speed an extra beacon up there as well, in that spot. And technically we could put some beacons like in there, but that's kind of not going along with the pattern, I guess. So we're not going to do it. So once all 37 of those get built, then we will be able to see what happens. Now this is so this is 1 tungsten carbide to 1.5 speed modules, because it would be 1-to-1, but we have the productivity boost, which means that still the main tungsten carbide sink is up here, which we probably don't need more than 60 of those at a time, especially once we start stacking the speed modules and everything. They're going to go insanely quick. So we can chop that down, and so then you're going to need a couple more tungsten carbide, realistically, not that much. And then all the rest can then start filling up over to here. Alright, so Fulgorda Vulcanus has all of the legendary electric circuits and is on its way. Man, the music cutout is sometimes incredibly abrupt. Not always, but sometimes. It just is going 1 second and then it's gone the next. Okay, is this... We are running the thrusters fully, right? Yeah. So we don't have any problems with any of that. You are just going. It's weird that we don't have a backlog of resources at all, which probably means we're not being super efficient with our resource usage, although it could mean that we're just throwing them away fast enough that it doesn't cause any problems. So fast transport, you have all of your personal railguns. And we have 1 railgun that we can bring down to Vulcanus if we want, I guess. You know what? Fine, let's do that. So you get the conditions that'll make you never move automatically, and now you can just send out and make your way back. The rockets seem to have filled up most of the way, at least. So that should be all good. And you should make your way back to Vulcanus, and you can deliver that railgun so that when we eventually get a second tungsten carbide patch, which I don't even know if it'll be necessary anymore. Like, okay, we need to, I think if you alt-click, okay, we are going to need tungsten carbide for legendary quantum processors when we get around to that. I'm not exactly going to be doing legendary science because that's just a kind of a ridiculous thing to do. But we're going to need a lot of it for foundries, a lot of it for big mining drills, a lot of it for speed modules and quantum processors. So it is going to be beneficial to have a good solid chunk of tungsten carbide input. But hopefully this one patch, like with the full production speed that we can get out of it, will be enough. Okay, how do we have 800 entities missing construction bots? What just happened? Oh, I see. That's not good. Okay, so you need more storage space. This pipe down here didn't do anything, right? So that pipe can go away. Those pipes can go away. Yeah, so you tried to deposit some stuff, but there was not enough space for it. And you're just gonna keep doing that. Well, that's awful. We need to solve that. So the way of solving that is by... Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. Our poor drones are going to be working on this forever. It's only the construction drones, apparently. Yeah, this is not ideal. But it looks like they're getting there. The number of entities missing construction bots is decreasing. Getting back under control. So hopefully that's all good. And does transport platform happen to have cargo bays on it? It does not, so you're going to have to head back to grab those. And does fast transport have cargo bays? It actually might, because it was in construction like 5 seconds ago. It also doesn't. Shame. Oh well. So this is going, and our poor drones, they just keep coming. This was a horrible mistake. Alright, at least we're most of the way through. Like, you've almost delivered all of the green circuits. It's just a couple more stacks. But we really need to fix this so that we don't do all of this. So, it is slowly working. What we need to do is basically set this up with the whole system that we have on the other planet. So let's go to Fulgora is one of the ones that has it. So we copy paste this setup. And okay, you don't need to be like especially close, you just need to be able to access it. So you go in like that, and apparently we can craft all that, no problem. And what we need to do is just get it so that this outputs all of its stuff into storage chests and doesn't hold them all in the landing pad itself. Now, our poor construction drones don't exactly have a lot of free time, but I'm sure they'll get around to it eventually. And we do have a good solid amount of storage chest space, so it should be fine. So this is all getting built. We just need that power pole. Okay, so now you don't need the Fulgora request segment. You need the Vulcanus request. chests. So you get that name, then you get attached onto that list, and then this outputs up to there, and you're cleared and set requests. Alright, so that should be basically the same, except it counts the entire robo network instead of just the physical contents of the cargo landing pad. So now, if we make those active provider chests, and we are going to need to craft some active provider chests real quick. Do we have other items? Yeah, so we do have buffer chests crafted here. So it should be fine. You need to do the same thing, where you get that, and you get that. And so that delivers into there, and then back out there. And that can be limited down to like 1 stack. And that should give us the active provider chests we need. So now all of that can go in. And now, as long as we also set up, hang on, we have to do the same thing to get even more storage chests, because that might become an issue. So you are going to request storage chests. And now all of our logistics drones are doing stuff, just taking items out of these newly made active provider chests. And as long as we have enough storage chests to keep up with this, then it should be fine. And there we go. These guys are all very busy. But now we have enough space in here that it shouldn't cause any problems. So there we go. We get some random stuff delivered. And eventually the eventually the drones will be done with all this stuff. Are you bringing some of that stuff, like, all the way down here for some reason? Did I put storage chests down here? I did. And some of them are receiving the coal. That's a very long trip for what does not need to be a very long trip, but it's fine. So this is almost fully drained, and once that's fully drained, and we still have plenty of space in here, so once this is fully drained, then it should all balance out. And these should start actively draining. And then we should eventually get enough drones to actually do things, which for now is taking quite a bit of time. And we do have storage chests in construction, so that's fine. We also did eventually get these guys to get their green circuits back, so that's running now as well. And actually it looks like we've theoretically finished with all the speed modules down there, which is very handy. Alright, when will this finally empty? And also, is this correct? Why are we... anything greater than 0, right? So we have... I just have to trust that this is working properly. It's almost impossible to tell by looking at it, but like these are the sorts of things which I might expect to be low on, right? Like EM plants and all the rest of that stuff. Are we actually 0 on EM plants? That seems unlikely. I just built a couple like 5 seconds ago when we had them. So I don't know if we're actually down to 0 EM plants or not. But we do have spare speed modules to go, so that's cool. And a whole bunch of drones doing crazy work. Are they done yet? Yeah, they're basically done. So now we have some drones available, which means everything which could potentially have a drone assigned to it now has a drone assigned to it. So we just have to wait for that last swarm to finish off. And then, I mean, we have spare drones, so we can actually start getting things done now. Like, these these storage chests are getting built in, which should be handy. And I still don't believe that we have 0 EM plants. Like, if I just go to build one... Alright, no, apparently I used my last EM plant here. Transport platform has some which we can bring over. So that'll be fine. And yeah, let's do that because we're probably going to need them. Alright, so now that's going. And this is all calmed down. It's mostly sorted, just waiting on some of these last stragglers to charge up and everything. And now we have that set up nicely. So now what we need to do is go down here and figure out what exactly we need to do to get all of this stuff out properly. So currently we're just sort of merging it up willy-nilly without really being concerned for how exactly we go about doing that. But that's obviously not like an efficient use. We're not getting everything out this way. As you can see, most of these belts are just completely jammed. So, what I think we need to do is we need to get the Spidertron down here for quicker building, at least as much as it can help with. And we are going to need to redesign this. And we want to have, like, as many full-ish belts as possible, right? So this is almost nothing, whereas this one is... How much is this? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. So with a belt cap of 240, assuming fully stacked, this is like not quite completely filled, but reasonably close to it. So we can probably get like 2.5 full belts out of this, if I had to guess. But we're going to have to work on balancing that. So, let's get that done. So, first off, we're going to disconnect you, and then this whole system that we currently have is going to need to be dismantled. Because we do not want them merging up like that. Okay, and now the Spidertron is also causing a minor drone panic attack as it dumps out all of that tungsten that was in its inventory. Okay, we need you to have more inventory space. Can we clear out just some of this random junk? You don't need hundreds upon hundreds of piercing round magazines or gun turrets. And you don't need one regular old transport belt. What's going on? Just random lightning strikes on full gore. Where is that happening? Down in this area. Okay, that's just like the world's tiniest gap. You got very unlucky to get struck there. So now that should be all covered. Alright, back to Vulcanus. So we have 4 belts, which we don't know how full they are. I don't really want to do the math to figure out exactly. So what we do instead is we get turbo splitters. Can I just like clear that shortcut and just like, we can just assume that we're building with turbo stuff from now on, I think. And that goes for the belts as well. So now that should be easier to deal with. Alright, so the way we do this is we basically merge them up to one side. And what we need to do is... Alright, we need to design a 4-to-4 lopsided balancer, I guess. So we need 4 inputs, right? So just something like this is already a very natural way to start, because we have 4 inputs that just instantly merges them up. So now we go output priority to the right. So now we have these 2 outputs, which theoretically should now be as filled as possible. Now, if we go to here, and we go that one, so this one has priority from itself, the one next to it, the one next to that, the one next to that. So now let's also set these input priority right. So basically we're draining mostly these 2 belts to get this as full as possible, and then taking things from here and from here. And let's actually just have that input priority right as well. So basically at this point we know for a fact that this belt here is fully used, and that this belt here is as full as it's possible to be. Then we can just sort of branch that off to the side and not worry about it, probably. And the Spidertron should not stand directly on top of it, but just sort of by the side. Alright, I know how to do this in Satisfactory, and it should theoretically be easier in Factorio, but for some reason it's not coming to me instantly, because it's just the splitters in this are ever so slightly different from the splitters in Satisfactory. And it feels like I should be able to make it more efficient than the way I would do it in Satisfactory, which is probably what's getting me stuck here. So we have this one as full as possible. Then we have this one, which is the leftovers. Let me think here. So this belt, we definitely don't need to worry about it. It's done. We need to worry about these 3 belts here, basically, and get a full belt out of them. So we need you to merge up with all of these. So you go out like that. You can twist around like that and merge up to the right again. This is definitely not the optimal way of doing this, but it should be fine. So this input belt is gone, and that output belt is as full as it can be. Now we have the remains of this going to there, and they go out. This would be easier if I had items flowing through it, but I don't know how to... It's kind of annoying to do that, because you don't have like a sink in this game, and you wouldn't want to sink resources anyways. So at this point, we've got the first one out. I believe this second one is also good, so we get the excess from this one, which theoretically would be its own belt. So we have this belt, which anything which didn't go to fill up there goes through to fill up here. And that can also be input prioritied. And then this goes in to fill up the rest of it. So now I think this belt is also done, right? Because it either went into that one or it went forward into that one. So now that that belt is done, and then we just have these two belts here, which should be relatively straightforward. We just take you, and okay, now just for the sake of organization. So now we have these four belts, where this one is definitely full, that one's probably full, that one might or might not be full, that one's probably empty. Okay, so let's then get some... We need to go up here to grab this cycling blueprint that we made earlier, which is now annoyingly close to our blue circuit production, which we can't really do much about. We're just going to have to grab it and then dismantle those random belts. So you go in here, and I guess you just sort of get built like that. This stuff can all go away. And we're going to need so many foundations for this. So we can start with another 100, but we're just going to want one of you guys. Let's have Vulcanist support 2. I think we've been putting a lot of Vulcanist support 1 at this point. You can carry like 200 foundations from Novice, and then Vulcanist is going to need to request those, which we do in this guy here. So you can request 200 foundations, and those should all be in now. And now we just need to wait for those foundations, because we can't actually do this until that's all powered up. And while we're at it, let's copy this version now, which doesn't have the annoying extra stuff in it, and we're going to need probably at least 2 of them in here. And we also need to think about the spacing. Like, we need to leave room for these belts to curve up as well. So that all goes in, and now we are a bunch short, and we're also going to need more recyclers and quality modules. Alright, so... Ooh, okay, I just sent down some random engines. We don't really need those, but might as well have them. And we are also low on those. Those can go down. And that should be everything from you, so you can start heading back again. Okay, and then back to Vulcanus. Alright, we should have this functional in the meantime, probably. So let's... Wait, no, we can still feed it through this, right? So you can go up to there. You go up to there. You go across and into that guy, and then you can come all the way up and into there. So first things first, all 4 of the outputs got done, right? So that's good. And now we just need to take sort of the last little excess bit, run you over there, And this last single belt not get in the Spidertron's range, really. There. Okay, so now that's all good. You need to connect across to there, which is going to need more foundations. So it does look like we're taking primarily from this one with some extra support to there. So I think just visually this appears to be mostly working. And we're going to apparently need drone coverage all the way out to there and all the way up to there to get that all done. And how many foundations does Novice request? Because it might not be getting enough to feed Vulcanus with all this stuff. You are requesting 100 at a time. Yeah, so you're going to want to request 500 at a time, not to use them yourself, just so that you can be a central hub for sending them off to Vulcanus and other places that need them. And Aquilo Stone. Okay, we do actually have a direct route. So you can pick up as much foundation as you can when you're at Aquilo, and then you go down to Vulcanus. So that should hopefully be relatively practical. Now, okay, so now Aquilo is having the same problem. So you have that set up, but what you need is you need these to be active provider chests. And then you're going to need to actually have active provider chests. Please, can I just manually construct them? No, of course not. Also, I unlocked Promethean Science at some point, so that's fun. So we need to craft up some active provider chests somehow. So, do we have green and red circuits? Also, now the Spidertron is getting involved trying to fix this mess. Do we have green and red circuits anywhere that we can grab here? We've got a bunch of blue circuits, as one might expect. Can't even click on these guys for some reason. Who knows what's going on? We need... Do I have any passive... Do I have any storage chests, at least, that I can place? No, probably not. Alright, fast transport. You are here above Vulcanus, so we need you to do your job as just very quickly moving about for custom trips. You need to bring some stuff up. So Aquila Support 2 is going to be very slow to get there, as are all the others. So fast transport, you are going to pick up active provider chests, storage chests, and might as well grab requester chests and passive provider chests while you're at it. And you're going to have to bring those up to Aquilo, which seems to be getting things under control, at least a little bit. But it's not a good long-term situation. So the Spidertron's inventory doesn't have any passive provider chests, okay, so we can sort of do some stuff by just getting passive provider chests down, right? So if we put a bunch of those in, and then we dump out some of the less useful parts of my inventory into that. So we can do that. And then we can yoink as much stone as possible and chuck that away. And now we should have space again. So that is something. And then let's grab all those tungsten plates and send them into a random box. And the tungsten plates just keep coming. Holy, okay. That's inconvenient, to say the least. Alright, so we have a full box full of tungsten plates at this point. And I really don't want to be doing this manually. I want to just have the drones do this. Also, we have 100 logistics drones. That's not incredible. Alright, so let's add logistics and construction drones onto the list of things that you need to carry. So you get another just 100 of each. And those are all going to get launched up. Also, you had some upgrades pending for legendary machines for the rockets and stuff, so it's nice that we can get those in as well. And now you just need to get 1,000,000 random items launched and bring those all the way up to Aquilo. Alright. Over to Vulcanus. Have you gotten Foundation? You've gotten some, maybe? Transport Platform has some Foundation that you can bring up to Vulcanus. Aquilo Stone does not. It has technically some, but not much. Now, Aquilo itself has seemingly a decent-ish chunk, but not anywhere near enough. And that is because of drone limitations, I think. Yeah, the 100 logistics drones on this planet are absolutely doing their best, but we need to get their reinforcements up real fast. Alright, so you can fly up to Aquilo now that you have all that stuff. And that should be good. Now, here on Vulcanus, we have a transport platform on the way. Volgora Vulcanus does stop by Novice. I don't know why we have all these. Oh, the legendary electric engine units are for the mining drills, right? I remember now. Okay, so that's all just waiting. This is mostly just waiting at this point. It looks like this is properly doing it, assuming that when we put this in, this row stops working as much. It should be prioritizing properly. And theoretically, there probably won't be much of any output onto that belt once this is doing all the work. And we need power poles to get those roboports built, which means we need foundation. So there's most of the foundation is on its way there. And how is this going? You are still kind of in shambles. I think we probably need legendary roboports up here just for charging. Did Novice ever make legendary roboports, or is that just something I'd consider doing? Roboport. Okay, I think that's something I just considered doing but never gotten around to. I think with Aquilo being the way it is, it's time to get around to that. So, assembly machine. And Roboport. And we should have everything we need for this, right? So we just go quest or chest. You need to be legendary Roboport, obviously. Actually, wait, does that show up? Oh, I see. That doesn't actually show up differently, so we probably already do have them then. Yes, so you are legendary Roboports. Okay, so fast transport is most of the way there for this trip, but it's going to need to make another trip at some point to get the legendary Roboports up there. Alright, so that's all fine. This got some stone delivered. Transport platform hasn't showed up yet, though, so that's still a work in progress. Aquilo still needs... Fast transport is... It's real fast, but it certainly could be faster. I wonder, actually, how much fuel do we make? We make 800 fuel, 800 oxidizer, and we use like 600, so we could theoretically get more thrusters on this to go even more faster. And we can also, like, boost the quality and productivity of all of these machines to make it go even faster. That could be quite handy for what this thing's job is, which is to just get places quickly. So yeah, that could be a thing that we do. And Volgorda Vulcanus, you're just doing your thing. You have plenty of inventory space. That's never going to be an issue. Now, you just pick up a bunch of stone from Vulcanus and then bring it up to Gleba, so you're not really interesting. It's Aquilo stone, which had just dropped off foundations. Now, you've just dropped off some foundations. Is this functional yet? Probably not. Probably need that last 109. Is there anything else on here that we wanted to deliver? Let's just give you more modules. More modules never hurt anyone. So now you can deliver those and head back. So fast transport's living up to its name. It's already made it to Aquilo. So now we can drop off some boxes and drop off some robots. And that should get all of this more functional, assuming we have passive provider chests somewhere. Or we need storage chests. Just like, kind of put them wherever, right? So we just have a nice solid blob of them like that. And now we need to... Oh, I just realized we need to actually fill this up with robots. So you get logistics bots and construction bots requested. And I should be able to hopefully manually help out to some extent by just doing that. Now the Spidertron isn't going to have any drones, which is awkward. And we also need to get heat pipes up to that inserter, because this is Aquilo after all. Okay, so that is good. I'm gonna yoink... And I don't need to yoink that many. You get to keep most of those. I just need to find, like, a singular logistics drone to pick up. Alright, now we have 473 logistics drones. They're all still working around the clock. Alright. Alright, so fast transport, you need to start heading back to Novice immediately. And that should get another delivery up here. And this has plenty of construction drones now. That's no longer a concern. But the logistics drones are still just in absolute shambles. And they're gonna be a mess for a while because this is now doing the whole active provider trust thing, which is causing a lot of difficulty. But at least they're doing something. We have 500 logistics drones. They're all busy. They can just continue to do what they can do. Now, Aquilo Stone is almost back. And does Aquilo have a good amount of stone for it? It has 400 some. So theoretically, yes. Theoretically should be enough stone. I don't know what we are even using all this stone for, by the way. I assume it's beneficial in some way for Aquilo to be receiving regular shipments of thousands upon thousands of stone. But I've completely forgotten where that actually goes. It's not to make those. Is it? Yeah, no, I actually just have no idea. Oh, it's for the foundations themselves, right? That's where it all goes. All right, some drones on Fulgora have found another spot to get exploded. So let's grab a lightning collector and put that over this way. And just cover that entire line, and then we're going to have to get the Spidertron up to build those in. And hopefully shouldn't have any difficulties with that. And also hopefully we will go wide enough to cover all of them. Looks like we don't, so let's just get some of that stuff in as well. Okay, so then those have been assigned drones from elsewhere. We don't need to worry about them. Just get the Spidertron to run up to there. And that should be all clear for that. Has Aquilo got itself sorted out yet? No, they are all still working hard. But now this should be enough inventory space to take whatever needs to get dropped down to it. Transport platform, back over Novice. There's no foundations to be found here. That's fine. Fast transport is also making its way back to Novice. It doesn't need to bring those anymore, although we do want more logistics belts. Or, not logistics belts, drones. Okay. Now, while we've been doing all that, we have a full stockpile of 63, technically, big mining drills. And we have 41 of these. We are missing green circuits. So this is the guy who's meant to be carrying them, and you have another big row. And you're coming in any second now, so that should be fine. I imagine it's still... We still haven't caught up with the blue circuit production, but we should be pretty close, right? So this... Once the blue circuit production is only going as needed, the green circuit demand will plummet. So that should be fine. We're still taking damage on Fulgora, where... How did you take damage there? That's like right by the main factory. Alright, you can put a lightning collector in that spot. And there we go. So, Aquilo Stone is almost there. And we'll also have to see like how rocket launching even works now. We have more drones, so theoretically it should be faster, but they're also all just sitting here uselessly charging at that drone port, so who knows. Alright, fast transport is back. You need to be bringing the legendary drone ports up. That's your main priority, is to get those up to Aquilo so we can accelerate the charging rate to brute force through some of these problems, especially that drone port and obviously other ones which are relevant bottlenecks. So we can get the charging faster. The recharge rate will go up, which means there will be less drones sitting here and more drones actually doing things that are useful. And at some point, we're going to need to work and get actual legendary drones as well, and then just never send them to Aquilo because they will die. But we can use those elsewhere, and that will be a massive speed up just across the board as well. Alright, so that is that. Fast transport, did you... Yes, you did get your legendary roboports. You're about to get the additional drones. And then once that is in, you will go up to Aquilo. Just gonna wait for these drones to land and then send you off. Alright, off you go. So, meanwhile, Aquilo Stone, you are here. You're getting 200 Foundation launched. But we also do need to send Transport Platform back because we're missing recyclers and some stuff. So you can start making your way back to Vulcanus. Now, Aquilo Stone is full-time busy launching all of these foundations and also sorting through all the stone that just got dropped on it. This poor planet is just absolutely terrible for accomplishing anything. At least the way that I do things with lots of drones. It's not ideal at all. Okay, I keep hearing that beeping sound and thinking that something's, like, exploding in the background, but it definitely isn't. So the stone here is still registered as on the way. The last bit of stone is dropped out. None of these have successfully launched yet. Thank you for getting all of these mostly full instead of actually bothering to fill any of them. And yeah, that's sort of the main difficulty with Aquilo is just the drones are abysmal at this point. But with higher quality, with just more drones and faster charging, hopefully we can get through that problem. So we've launched a couple of those. And we have more requests on their way, which are going to take forever to fill. And yeah, getting the higher quality drone ports hopefully will be enough. And then if not, then we'll have to then be worried about the higher quality drones themselves. Now, the drones are electronic circuits flying robot frames, advanced circuit flying robot frames. And flying robot frames are kind of annoying. So most of those are free. What about the batteries? What do batteries take? Okay, yes. Actually, it's not that bad at all. So let's actually just get started on making those. So we'll build them down here, because why not? So step one is legendary batteries, which can be a cryo plant for efficiency. So you get a cryo plant, and you can have infinity productivity modules, and make batteries. Okay, we need sulfuric acid. We're just gonna get that in via an unbarreler. So you are empty sulfuric acid barrel, and that goes across to there. Then we requester chest in and active provider chest out. The barrels. So that should be that. And then we need to bring in the plates. And you need to be set to legendary batteries. That's important. And are you... Oh, you're actually like almost none of the plates needed. So that's fine. That's very convenient, actually. And then we just need a drone port in here, which you can get the best coverage by putting it sort of up that way. And we have the sulfuric acid. We are waiting on the iron copper plates to show up, and let's just set those to... Let's set those to 20 each for now. Aquila Quantum Support managed to fill itself up, presumably with all of these ridiculous barrels. Novice, can you just, like... Where are all these barrels even... Let's see, I assume it's that we're crafting barrels here on Aquilo and then not returning them. Because that's set to like 100 instead of... Okay, let's set you to request like 1,000 barrels. So you can request like 1,000 barrels, and then Aquilo Quantum Support is going to, first of all, need to just like get rid of some wherever it can, just so that it doesn't have them. And then theoretically, the 1,000, it should drop off all these extra barrels and stop being ridiculous about it. So we can get a little bit of space in there, and that should work out. Let's see, what was I doing before then? Oh, I was doing legendary drones. Okay, so that... We were doing it in this area, and we had the batteries, everything set up except for the provider chest. So we go you, we have just a couple stacks of them. Then... Flying robot frames. All the rest of these things have been previously automated, so we can simply assembly machine and requester chest all that stuff in. How was fast transport doing, by the way? Did you get the stuff delivered? Yeah, so you dropped down all those bots and those legendary roboports, so that will be great for Aquilo. So let's get you. So those should be landing now, so this should be very manageable. We just need to get like all of the ones which are seeing heavy usage, preferably. I think I already got that one. Need to get that one, and this whole row up there I needed to add extras in because of how much it was used for some reason. Okay, I think that's actually all that we need for that. And we should have gotten these delivered, right? I don't know why it says we're missing them. It's probably thinks we're missing them because a drone is carrying them at the moment, and it hasn't dropped them into a box or anything yet. Yeah, so that is what's happening. So those will all get upgraded, and then hopefully that will be the last time we have to deal with that sort of situation. At least it'll be much better. So that's not gonna cause any serious problems with the power grid. Caused a bit of a spike, but it's fine. That's just because these guys can drain a whole lot more power. Okay, and actually, everything is at peace. We do not have we do not have drones doing stuff right now. So, as long as it just sort of stays like that, that should be great. Now, back to over here. We need you to be set to be flying robot frames. Legendary, please. Always forget to get that setting, and then we paste the recipe across. And then those go to a passive provider chest, which can store just a couple of them. And you also want to have really high quality modules. And that should be good. And let's get these set up so that we use a bunch of them so that we can actually produce at full speed, hopefully. And then you are going to get speed moduled to get your crafting speed up. And then we just need to make the actual drones themselves. So you are logistics bots, you are... Oh, I have to set them to legendary. You are legendary logistics bots, you are legendary construction bots. Now, we need to set this all up so that we don't overproduce these. So for now, just doing it like this should be fine. If we just like semi-manually add them into the list, and I assume these can't be productivity module? No, they can't. Okay, so we now have that. Apparently that beacon is out of range, so that needs to get sped up. So we have 4 legendary logistics bots, which have much higher energy capacity and maximum flying reach. So that should be good. Now this is going to be running around the clock, and we've got enough storage of all of those that it should be fine. This is 0.36 per second. These guys can theoretically take way more than that. So I believe we have legendary assembly machines to add. And we can drop down. I just happened to think of those recycling machines over on Vulcanus, which haven't been built yet. So Aquilo Stone has plenty of stuff. Oh, it's almost completely dead on fuel. How did that happen? It must have been waiting above Aquilo for an insanely long time. Okay, so this is still fine, though. We still have a good number... We still have a good number of fuel and a lot of storage. And we also have solar panels, which are taking up more and more of our power output, but... It's very concerning that this got all the way down to 0. Refuel should be when it gets less than 20. Okay, let's set that to be less than 40, just for safety, so that something like this is less likely to happen. We do still have this buffer, but it's not a short trip. Oh, and you're going to drop all of these foundations off at Novice when you get there, and then we're going to have someone else carry them back. Okay, transport platform. Then you can head back to Novice. And let's see here. Over on Vulcanus, this is all just going as usual. How is our module stuff over here? We have 41 legendary speed modules. Decent amount, but probably not enough. Vulcanus has apparently... It says we've run out of logistics storage space, and I believe it, because that's a lot of boxes full of coal. Why do we have so much coal? Why is the coal demand so incredibly high? It makes no sense. What did I even set it to? And does it realistic? I set it to 52,000. Okay, well, I mean, we'll have enough storage for all that now. And we're reasonably close to 52,000 apparently. Thanks to the power of just spawning coal out of asteroids. So that is fine. The drones are going to be busy doing that for a little bit. But if this ever runs out of space, I will be more impressed than anything else, honestly. Okay, so fast transport. You're supposed to be picking up railguns. Aquilo is still not doing railgun production because it's not getting quantum processors. That's fine. So you can head back to Novice and do something at some point, probably. Okay, so this is getting the coal under control. And soon that'll be all capped out and nice. In the meantime, we have 50 logistics bots, 50 construction bots. Alright, let's actually get... Because you need a lot of bots, and even with the legendary ones, do they travel faster, or do they just go further? I think they just go further, so we're still going to need a lot of them. So we can just have that capped up like so. And this guy is making the batteries. Oh, and you're at negative 80% speed, so let's fix that. Get some speed modules so that you can produce batteries reasonably quickly. And there's the beacon. And then we just have to get the modules down. And then this will shoot up from 0.29 per second to probably like 4 per second, just as a random guess. 3.4, I was close. Alright. So now we're definitely producing enough batteries, which means we're definitely producing enough of these. And that will just be running along as usual. And actually, if we store more flying robot frames, this crafting step is very quick. So if we store more flying robot frames in that form, then we can actually just decide which ones we need later if that becomes an issue. So we can do that. Now, over on Vulcanus, still not having luck bringing the foundations across. So this is just a temporary stop at Novice to get the fuel. Oh, how is nuclear fuel going, by the way? I haven't checked this in ages. Okay, it looks fine. It is completely stockpiled, as we would want it to be. Let's let it stockpile even more, just in case, I don't know, a couple drones, a couple space platforms show up wanting like 200 uranium fuel all at once. We can just prevent that from becoming an issue by just producing a bunch of this stuff ahead of time. And okay, so we are actually having problems with the depleted fuel recycling. So, first of all, let's make it more efficient, because why not? But then, more importantly, we can just accelerate you all a bunch. So now you'll be going super fast. And that should deal with the depleted waste fast enough for us. It's kind of incredible that this whole system just has not needed to be upgraded at all this time up until this tiny upgrade, which is barely an upgrade to be honest. And we'll even get technically a little bit more efficient as well, which is nice. So that is all running. They will get to go extra fast, and hopefully that will be enough to clear out this backlog, because we have apparently 67 depleted uranium fuel to spare in addition to the 40-ish in here. Alright, so the speed modules are in. These are now way faster. So that should be fine. Shouldn't have any problems with that. So transport platform has 100 foundations. And so you can travel up to Vulcanus and hopefully finish this thing off. We just need a couple more. Let's see, this one was at like 22k when I checked earlier and noted it might drain quickly. Now it's down to 19k. And it's on like the main priority lines, so that does make sense. So it is going to drain pretty quickly. We are eventually going to have to find another tungsten patch, really depending on how much longer we're going to be playing on this save, which I think will be pretty long still. Who knows? We have to do a whole bunch of science upgrades before I can fully say we're done, because our current science production is incredibly embarrassing. So hopefully the save will last long enough for us to run out of tungsten there, but these ones here probably not going to have issues with for the foreseeable future. So we just need to get this patch set up and we should be good to go. Aquilo is running at full speed, which should be a lot better than it was in the past because we have better drone ports for charging, and we can bring up the better drones as well if that is something which will be needed. And the power grid here, legendary roboports while active is now actually my main power draw above even cryogenic plants. That's funny. That must be a huge difference. So max consumption 5 megawatts each. The regulars are 2 megawatts each, so it should only be twice as much. I guess Aquilo was a bit weird. It had a lot of roboport related demand anyways. By the way, how's this legendary concrete going? We actually have a decent amount of it, which will be useful for something, probably. I can't remember why we need that, but I know we do need it. And I know that this setup for it is running hilariously slowly, but who knows? Okay. Vulcanus is basically fully constructed at this point. We just need all these drones to show up and actually put the pieces in, but all of the foundations are here. We might also be low on recyclers and or quality modules, depending on how that works out, but it doesn't look like it. It all looks fine. So let's get you connected into there. And you connected into there. And that should be tungsten carbide production tripled-ish, because we had one of these running, now we have 3. And I think we have enough. We'll have to see, actually. Okay, so yeah, the output to this side is not good enough to be a full belt, although these two are. So my prediction was right in that this is about 2.5 belts. And this is certainly enough tungsten that this section up here, which hardly ever needs any, will be perfectly happy. This section over here won't be running at full efficiency once that hits, because this belt is going to be like half empty, but it's the same because we have these guys over here. Alright, so yeah, our legendary tungsten production should be up and running now. This should be pretty solid. I don't think... There's no easy way for me to increase production speed off of this, so if we need even more tungsten carbide, we'll need to get another patch, which I believe we've delivered like 1 railgun, so it should be relatively easy. And the tungsten carbide supply looks fine anyways. Like, that's not the limiting factor at this point. We've got 80 to spare. Let's limit that down to like 4 stacks so we don't go completely crazy. But yeah, the actual green circuits are still the limiting factor on these, which is fine. You are still requesting green circuits, right? Yes, you are still requesting 10,000 green circuits at a time. Alright. So, this guy here... I see. So you try to deliver 10,000 green circuits to Vulcanus, but a lot of them sort of just get pilfered by Novice in the meantime. And that's probably fine. We might... Let's see, are any of these guys being unloaded to Novice? Yeah, the big mining drills are, potentially. So we can't uncheck the unload button. It's fine, though. Novice's demands for green circuits shouldn't be infinite, so it shouldn't be a huge problem. Although we do have a whole lot of blue circuits to make, apparently. But that's fine. As long as some green circuits are making through... Actually, is this inactivity? Okay, it is inactivity, which is bad because that's gonna... If we're, like, occasionally dropping a green circuit down, then that is gonna keep the inactivity ticking over and over again. So we need a time count as an alternative. So let's go 45 seconds of inactivity or 120 seconds have passed. That should have us covered. It might break our ability to pick up the electric engine units, but it should be fine anyways. And yeah, so that's all good. You are currently doing coal stuff, as you frequently have to do. But yeah, so that's all solid. Aquilo has some spare logistics drones compared to whatever it's trying to accomplish. And yeah, everything seems like it's going pretty well. So I think we are going to wrap up here for the day. Thanks ever for hanging out. I've had a lot of fun. So, what do we do this time around? We got legendary tungsten carbide produced. Legendary speed modules are a huge deal, as are legendary big mining drills. So with those two combined, we should be able to get really fast output out of any mine we need and not worry about it depleting nearly as fast, which we're going to go to Novice and fix up some coal supply problems there in a minute, but that'll be a job for next stream, of course. And we've also just done some random various fixing with legendary roboports and such, so all in all, quite good progress for today. So, yep, we're going to be wrapping up here. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be doing Dyson Sphere program tomorrow, where we are setting up a main bus, which isn't something I traditionally do in these games, but I'm going to try it out there, see what happens. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by tomorrow. Otherwise, I will be back in Factorio on Friday as usual. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So make sure to follow if you haven't already so you know when I'm live. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.